tutorial. It's a great way to add that kind of finishing touch to your artwork when you don't know what else to do, because I know that's something that I struggle with a lot, and I know a lot of you do, because you guys have asked, like, what do I do when I just have like that one, I just draw a thing and I don't know how to kind of finish the background. And this is a really great way to do that. Plus it's like super fun, and it's a great way to be kind of maximalist. It's going to be great. But before we get into that, I'll just kind of give it a few minutes to let people join in, say hi to everybody, and catch you up on what's been going on with me. So I see a bunch of you here saying hi in the comments. Oh, Danny's here. Hi, Danny. Hi, Crystal. Tasney, hi. She says it's 12 midnight. Thanks for being up late to do this one. Hi, Deb. Hi, everybody. Hi, Ash. Oh my gosh. So happy you guys are all here with me today. Yeah, what's been going on with me lately? I've been like going, the whimsy month, you guys. It's whimsy month. And I've been loving it. And so have you guys. Like, it's been really great to see what the reception is for like our whimsy themed months with all these fun whimsical prompts. I've seen like so many people just like excited to participate, lots of people participating and sharing their work. You guys have been making so much fun work too in the clubhouse, and it's just been really great. So let me tell you a little bit about Whimsy Month. Let me actually switch it down to my iPad, because I realize I can just kind of just give you an overview since it's our first tutorial of the month. So this is our drawing companion, which we have a link to it. It's pinned in the Making Art Everyday topic in the clubhouse. You'll find all the prompts and stuff. And so Whimsy Month is just about being extra. If I was gonna boil it down to one word, it's just about kind of having fun, being playful, being silly. Like, unnecessary silliness is a good way to describe whimsy. It's adding all those extra details where they're not needed, just adding that one more thing, like again and again and again. And I think it's so fun. It's a really playful way to make art where you're not too focused on like what the outcome is, because you kind of just let it happen organically. Like, what if I add polka dots in the background? What if I add sparkles? What if there's a floral pattern on this? Like, what if is a great thing, and it helps you kind of just keep being creative and keep coming up with ideas and just keep going, which is really fun. So we're doing our Fanciful Frames tutorial today, which we'll get into. It's so fun. I love this. I've been using this method all week, which I'll show you. And these are our prompts for the month. We have Floral Fauna, which has been going on this week. Next week is Surreal Whimsy, which these are just fun, kind of a little bit out there, imaginative type prompts, kind of in the real, realm of surrealism a little bit. So you can really have fun with these. Like, for me, I was kind of like wanting to do digital collage for this, which I think could be really fun. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm just gonna let whatever happens, happens, I guess. Then we have Objects of Delight, which are like just like fun little whimsical things that exist in life that kind of bring a little bit of fun and whimsy to life. And then we have a whole week on whimsical characters. Some are more simple than others, but just have fun with it, get colorful, add extra details, and I can't wait to see everything that you guys make this month. We also have Optional Twist. And this is finally in the companion. I know somebody mentioned like putting this in the companion. You guys, I gotta tell you, I have designed this optional twist page for every drawing companion this month, and somehow it's never made it into the actual companion. I don't know what I did, but I never put it in, but it did exist every single month. So now it's finally in there. So some things that you can try this month to kind of give you a starting or jumping off point. Just try using only one brush and see how much mileage you can get out of a single brush. Changing the pressure, tilt, adjusting the brush size, and seeing how much you can get out of one brush. And that also kind of keeps it simple too. Decorate the edge, so adding a playful border, which is what this tutorial is all about. Just adding something fun to the edges of your artwork. And then happy accidents. Like, what if you didn't use undo button and you just kind of let whatever happen and kept going. So that's another thing that you can try, just to kind of keep things fun and simple. I have been doing my Floral Fauna this week, and I've been loving these prompts. I'll show you the artwork when we get to the tutorial part. But I started out, and I did a little post about this, but I started out by just brainstorming a bunch of flower shapes because I tend to always draw the same 5, petaled flower and tulip shapes, which you will see in today's tutorial, but there are more shapes you could try. So I did like a whole brainstorm of that. Yeah, so that's what the Making Art Every Day prompts are about. And then I wanted to show you, I meant to have it up, but the our monthly focus for March, which is play is practice. And this is just kind of like leaning into the whole, I'll go here. I'm gonna go to the calendar page. Leaning into the whole aspect of play as a part of our creative practice, because often we spend a lot of time learning different techniques, trying new things, pushing ourselves creatively, and it can often feel like work. And it's very important to regularly take a step back and remember that it can be play too. And play is just as important as work and learning and pushing yourself. And I've kind of been doing this in the background for you guys, but I'm sort of going through this cycle as we go month to month, where we spend a month learning, pushing ourselves to learn something. We spend a month producing something that maybe has like an end product, like when we did sticker month. And then we spend a month where it's just kind of like playful, restful. We kind of fall back on our habits that we've been working on building, and just have a good time and remember why we're doing this. So we're now in a play month, and you'll kind of see this cycle go through. This is kind of something that I've been like working on the back end for 2026, and it's going really well so far. So next month is a learn month, so I've got really good ideas for next month that I'm already working on. But anyways, so March is play as practice, and there's some reflection questions in there for you just to kind of think about as you go through this month and you're working on your prompts. When does drawing feel most playful for you? What helps you loosen up at the beginning of the session so you don't feel like you're just like, you want to like kind of release the tension a little bit so you can get, loosened up and ready to be playful? What have you surprised yourself with while you're experimenting? So experimentation is a really good thing to try this month as we're kind of into this whole play. Just like try a different brush or try a different technique, or just put some scribbles on a page and see what they become. Like, just get experimental and have fun with it. And it doesn't, like, the outcome is not what this is about. Just be playful and see what happens. So what ways can you surprise yourself? And then where could you give yourself more freedom? Like I've been a big proponent of having kind of rules to help make things easier, like sticking to the same color palette or the same brushes or visual style. But what if you gave yourself more freedom and you just kind of, I don't know, bounced around from different brushes and things like that? And then what shifts when curiosity leads instead of the outcome? So again, not focusing on the outcome, but just kind of being curious. What if I add this? What if I try this? What if I did this? And even if it doesn't work out, that's okay, because even though it is play, you're also like learning things that are going to serve you later on. So those are just some things to kind of focus on as you're going through your prompts this month. And then we already talked about the drawing prompts. We have our event today, and then we're going to be doing a Draw Together Hangout, which is one of my favorite events. We're going to get together on Zoom and just draw together. You can bring whatever you want. It's just kind of some time for us to be creative and build community. We do like little breakout rooms where you can actually talk to one another, which is nice to get some like FaceTime with your fellow members. We always play some drawing games, and it's just a really good time. So I hope you can join us live. It's at March 18th at 4 p.m. So that's what's going on this month, and it's shaping up to be a really good month. I'm going to share all my artwork I've been doing, which I kind of shared in our last little reminder post, but I'll share it during our tutorial. Okay, let's see. I think I'm going to go ahead and I was just checking the comments. Okay, let's go ahead and dive into our tutorial today. Let me pull it up here. All right, so welcome to Fanciful Frames, Finish Your Art with Flair. Again, this is all about making, the edges of our canvas part of the show, like maybe even the star of the show, or at least to complement your artwork. And today we're going to be learning sort of a design system, or a frame formula, as I call it, for building these frames step by step and the different kind of ways that you can customize your frame during each step along the way. So this is just a quick overview of the process. So of course you would start with a basic frame, add some fun corner elements, start to draw in some details or add patterns within the frame. You could then add another frame inside your frame. See the red right there. Maybe another frame inside that. And why not one more? Like, this is just kind of like, what if we add one more thing and just keep going? And so this is the finished frame right here that we're going to be doing today. And then I wanted to share, oh, well, this is like I was kind of saying earlier, fanciful frames are a fantastic way to finish off an illustration. For this frame, I started with the frame and then I actually drew inside of the frame, like the frame actually inspired the artwork in this case. But of course you can go the other way where you draw something and then add the frame afterwards to complement it. But again, it's like a really great way to kind of finish off an illustration when you're not sure what else to do to create a background or something like that. This is a great way to finish it off. And then I wanted to share my artwork I've been working on this week because I've actually been using these techniques all week for our floral fauna prompts. So I started with my artwork and I used the color palette that we're going to be using for this tutorial. So all the colors have come from that color palette and I'm just reusing them for all my prompts this week. So I drew my artwork and then for each of them I added a frame. This is kind of like a more simple version of the frame we're going to be doing today. And it's been really fun to see how many different kinds of elements, like how I can change them up. So I always start with just like a basic frame, I add something to the corners, and then I add something inside the frame and stripes, like there's a pattern of shapes here. And then I have this other frame inside, which I've got scallops here, and then like kind of triangled zigzaggy there. Here's a couple more. So this frame I added like some leaves and a flower. I did a different corner element, and this is like kind of a reverse scallop where it's, you know, the pointy side is out instead of the bubble side. And here's another one, just wavy lines. I've got some little leaves, and then I did kind of sort of like a stripe on the outside. I was trying to think of different stuff to do for that other shape, so they're not all the same. So now I'm going to share with you the frame formula. So this is the series of decisions to make as you're kind of designing your frames. And this is something that can be done like in your head as you're creating the frame, or it can be a little bit more pre-planned. It's up to you how you do it. So let me share that with you next. Okay, so your first step is to decide what your frame shape is going to be. The most common, of course, is just like a rectangle opening like this, but that's not the only option. You can also do an oval or a circle. You can do an arch like this. You could do, you know, a heart, a star, a pentagon, you know, like a polygon or something like that. It can be whatever shape you want. So that's the first thing, is decide what shape you want to do. So the second is to decide what your frame size. So this is like how thick the frame is. So you can have a very thin frame like that, and how you could also do a very thick frame like this as well. And they'll have, you know, different kind of feel based on how thick it is or thin. And then another choice to make is your frame edges. So the actual place where the frame is opening, there's all kinds of things you could do there. So you could do a scallop shape. I had one where I had the scallops going the other way, so it was like the pointy side. This one is like a wave. This one is more of a zigzag. You could also do a shape pattern where it's like kind of a round shape and a pointy shape, round shape, pointy shape. That's another one that you could do. I think I did one like that recently. Oh yeah, this is the, well, actually no, I didn't. This one's just a series of little dots. I don't know. Anyways, let me go back. Oops. Okay, so frame edges. What's gonna be the, you know, outer edge of the frame? What's that gonna look like? Corner details is another step in the process. So I've been doing a lot of these like squares in the corners and then filling the squares with an element, but that's not the only option. You could add other shapes like circles. You could add little details like that. You could add a little illustrative element. It can be just in the frame or it can be within a square within the frame. So that's another choice to make as a part of the process. And then of course we're gonna fill the frame. This is where it gets really fun and fanciful and we start adding all the fun details. So many options here that you could do when you're filling the frame. I've got a few here. So we've got little dots. You can do stripes. Whoops, little stripes there. You could do like, oh, sorry, I'm trying to zoom in without. You could do little floral patterns like on this one here. You could do sort of like a patchwork, which is what this is an example of. So we've kind of like sectioned off the frame into these kind of irregular shape. They're not all the same size sections, and then filled them with little tiny illustrations. So everything is a little bit different. And I call this one sort of like a patchwork because it reminds me of like a patchwork quilt. So that's an option that you could do. Over here on the end, I've got just like, you know, a series of, I guess, vertical horizontal stripes. So instead of going this way, they're going with the length of the border. And there's like so many options. You could just fill it with a pattern. Like I've been using imperfect patterns, which is one of my brush sets, to fill the backgrounds of my artwork, but you could also fill just like the pattern with, or fill the frame with a pattern, all types of illustrations. There's so many options when it comes to that, and that's where you can really have a lot of fun. So that's the process. So again, frame shape, frame size, how big is the opening, frame edges, what is the shape around the edge of the opening, what's going to be going into the corners, and then what are you going to be filling the frame with. And then you can combine these elements again and again to make like frames within a frame, which is what we're going to be doing today. So. Before we get started, make sure you download the Soft Whimsy color palette. That's what we're going to be using for this tutorial. You're welcome to use any colors you wish if you just want to pick your own colors, but if you want to follow along with me, I'm going to be using that. And this is also the palette I've been using in my floral fauna artwork all week. It's been a really great palette. And then we're going to be using brushes from Bonus Brushes Volume 3. I have the exact brushes that we're using listed on the event page. So if you need to reference that, you can. It's just 3 brushes, I believe. Okay, without further ado, let's get into our drawing today. And as always, if you guys have questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Jeff is monitoring the comments. And
Hey.
My lovely husband, Jeff. If you're new here, Jeff is always, here running things in the background. So he can monitor your questions and send them my way. And then I'm kind of keeping an eye on things too. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So we're gonna do a vertically oriented canvas today. So I'm gonna go up to the little plus sign to create a new canvas. And the size I'm going to be using is my preferred vertical size, which is 2800 by 3500 pixels. I have a template saved, but if you don't, you can tap this rectangle with the plus sign icon. And then it's going to be 2800. Make sure you're down here in pixels. 2800 by 3500 pixels. You can give your template a name by tapping up here. And then you don't have to worry about the DPI or anything because we're setting this up in pixels. And then you can hit the check mark, but I already have a template saved, so I am going to open that one. There we go. Okay. So this frame process relies heavily on Procreate symmetry feature. It cuts the work literally into 4. Or a quarter, because you only really have to do a quarter of the work and it kind of fills in everything for you. So, and I love symmetry for a couple reasons. Like one, visually it's so pleasing. I love a symmetrical design. And then it also comes together really quickly again, because Procreate's kind of doing the work for you. So we're going to be using that today. We're going to do a sketch to kind of sketch out our idea for this frame, but you absolutely don't have to do sketching when you're designing your frame. You can kind of just freehand it. We'll do a sketch today, but like for all of my floral fauna pieces, I just kind of like started drawing the frame and kind of let it happen organically. So let's go ahead and get into it. We're gonna go to, let's choose a brush first. So I am gonna go to, I have like a collection here for Art Makers Club. I said we're using bonus brushes 3, but my favorite brush for sketching is in bonus brushes 4, and that's sketchy stuff. You can use any pencil brush you want to sketch, but that's what I'm gonna pick. So again, bonus brushes 4, sketchy stuff. And then for the color, I usually choose black. And then when I was doing this tutorial, I'm like, why does it have to be black? It's Whimsy Month, let's pick a color. And so I think I'm sketching in this color here from the palette. One thing about the palette is once you download it and you tap to open it, it should go right into Procreate, and you'll find it under palettes here. So you might have to like find it, and then if you tap one of the colors, you see how like that checkbox appears, and that becomes your default palette. And then you go back to disk. So choose this dark blue, but then let's go a little bit darker because I need kind of a dark color to sketch. And so that worked. Oh, it's too dark. It really doesn't matter with the sketch, but I just wanted something fun. Okay, now we're gonna turn on our symmetry mode. So we're gonna go up to the actions menu here, and we're gonna go to canvas, and we're gonna turn on drawing guide, and you'll see a grid appear. And now this is not the grid to do symmetry, we have to change a couple settings. So you're gonna wanna go to edit drawing guide, and now we've got some options down at the bottom. We're gonna choose symmetry. And then we're gonna go to options, because right now we have a mirror. So it's like whatever is on this side will be reflected on this side, but we want it to be reflected up and down and side to side. So we're gonna go to options and choose quadrant. So now whatever we put in this corner will be in all 4 corners. That's how the quadrant one works. So go ahead and choose quadrant, and then you can hit the checkbox and we'll be ready to go. Okay, so for the frame, a little trick if you want to make sure that your borders, like you could freehand, you know, the shape and stuff, but if you want this to be equal to this, I would start with a square in the corner, and I'll show you. We can actually use the quick shape feature to do that. So if you were to draw a square like this and then hold your pencil down, it's gonna snap to a shape, which is kind of like a square, but not exactly. So if you keep holding down and then put another finger down, it should snap to a square, but oh, mine's not doing it. I'm gonna release and tap up here where it says edit polyline. Sometimes if you don't draw your square exactly perfectly, it doesn't like automatically snap to a square, so I'm gonna try it again. It can be a little finicky like that. Okay, so no, it's still not doing it. Oh, there we go, square. Except now it's crooked. Okay, I'm gonna try that one more time. So you wanna try and get it as, I'm like, oh, there's this shortcut that will make it easier, but it's actually not. Okay, there we go. So now I've got a square. If you do the finger trick, see how it like snaps, and you want it to be perfectly like horizontal and vertical. Okay, now we can let go and tap square up here, and then we can pull it to the corner. And this square is gonna represent the like how thick the border is. So I think this is a pretty good size. Like it'll be that thick. Maybe I'll go a little. If you want it to be a little bit smaller, you can grab not one of these dots here, because that will just, you know, change that one spot. Undo that. If you grab like the line, like that, it'll actually scale it down uniformly. And if you put your finger down, it'll make sure it's not like turning while you scale it. So if you want to make it a little bit smaller, you can. And then, whoops, and then just use your pencil anywhere. Okay, let me know if that's a little bit smaller than I wanted. I'm gonna do it one more time. That way you guys get to see it a little bit quicker. So I'm gonna do my square. Hopefully it will snap. No, it didn't. Okay. I got a polyline. No. All right. I guess apparently I'm not very good at drawing squares, so it's fine. Like, I want this to be easy, but sometimes it just doesn't. And again, ugh, okay. I apologize. How many times is Lisa going to draw the square before it actually becomes a square? There's a square. Good enough. Okay. I'll pop that in and maybe make it a little bit bigger. Okay. That's good enough. Okay. That's like that took a lot longer than it needed to. Okay, so now we're going to also just kind of connect the edges of the square. And you can use quicklime to do this too. So if you like draw a line and then hold your pencil down. And then hold your finger down. So this is just free. And then if I hold my finger down, it'll be a perfectly horizontal line. So you can make, you know, that edge perfect. And then we'll do this one here. And you really only have to draw to the center like that. So if I put, again, if I put my finger down, here it's free. So if I put my finger down, it's gonna snap.
Erin was saying that she's having some of that square trouble too.
Yeah, it's really finicky. I should write a strongly worded email to Procreate. Be like, hey, I want a square to be easier. Yeah, Steph's like, it helps to see how things work. Yeah, sometimes like it's like good when like mistakes or snafus happen during these tutorials because you get to see me work through it because that often happens to people. So thank you for that, Steph. Okay, so we've got the structure of the frame now. Now we can kind of start filling in what we want our details to look like. And these sketches can be very rough. They don't have to be super refined because we're going to end up doing it final art. So like I said, we were doing a rectangle frame. We've got some corner shapes. Let's add what we're going to do in the corner. So for this frame, I actually did like a little frame within. I'm freehanding it. We're not using quick shape for this. A frame within that square and like some little corner elements. So there's almost like a little frame within the corner element. Because why not? Why not is the question of the day. And then I'm going to do sort of like a tulip or lily shape. I don't know. But like draw this kind of, I don't even know what to call this shape. It's kind of like a bell curve. And then we'll add a little petals, kind of like that. And then just little, the little stamen, you know, little things that stick out of the flower. And beautifully, it just does all the symmetry for us, which is great. And now we can start working on what's in the frame. So for this particular frame, we're gonna do some, floral designs, but you know, it could be just like a simple pattern or anything like that. I'm taking a lot of inspiration from this from like, I don't know, like I spent some time in January in the Alps, and they do a lot of these like floral patterns as design, and it's really pretty. So if like you think like, if you've been to Disneyland, like the Pinocchio ride or something like that, there's a lot of these kind of design elements. But anyways, okay, so we're gonna start here, and we're gonna do a little tulip. And for the tulip, since we're doing symmetry mode, you really only have to draw half of it like that, and then it will connect kind of in the middle. So you can draw a little tulip shape, just like a little arch, and then kind of draw the middle of it like that.
And real quick, because we did have a few people really struggle with a square. Can we just maybe give it one more?
Sure. Let me just give it a quick. Okay. So if you don't want to do the quick shape thing, like I said, I did quick shape a few times, and it's like it kind of, see, it's still not working. If you don't want to do it that way, you can always just kind of sketch a square. And this is where like a lot of being able to visualize a square is important, and that comes with like drawing squares a lot. But you kind of just want this to be the same as this. So that way your borders can be even. So if I did this just with a sketch, it would look something like this. So I'm just kind of like loosely sketching it out. And that's fine too. You don't have to do the quick shape thing. So either way will work. And like I said, when I did my art this week, I didn't worry about the sketch. Anyways, I just kind of started drawing the frame, and that's fine too. So.
And then where's the like magnetic snapping to turn off?
The magnetic snapping, if you wanted to do the snapping, that just happens where you press a finger down and then it will snap. Oh, if you're trying to move things around? Yes. Oh, if you need to move something around. That's here in the transform tool under snapping. Snapping and magnetics are off. Yeah. But understand, like, if you do move things around on, when you're using the symmetry mode, like if I wanted to move this little flower over here or something, it does not, like the symmetry mode doesn't work for transformations. So just something to be aware of. If you didn't like where you put it, you might just want to redraw it. However, like Liquify does obey symmetry. If I go to the Liquify tool under adjustments, this is just kind of a side note. We don't need to use Liquify, but I'm just showing you how if you use Liquify, which that kind of looks cool, something to play around with, it does do the symmetry when you're doing Liquify, but not selection. So hopefully that info helps. Good question. Okay, so we were at drawing a little tulip there, and we could draw little leaves, just kind of like a little leaf shape. We're gonna draw maybe another tulip over off to the side. I'm gonna just do two like simple flower shapes, like my go-to flower shapes. I'm gonna make this one a little higher. So I want to put a little dot underneath and then like some leaves over there. I also like to do a lot of like swirly elements and like leaf elements. So we'll do a swirl here. We're gonna kind of start right here and then draw kind of a swirl going up next to the tulip. So like that. I'll do that one more time. So kind of like a little bit of an S shape with the curly Q at the end. And then this can become kind of like a stem kind of element. So we can add some leaves on it. And then from there, we're kind of just filling in the hole. So one element that I was adding was just some little circles to kind of fill the space. I could add some up here. It's kind of up to you, like how you want the space to be filled. And maybe I'll do one in the middle. We could do 3 like that. And so that side is pretty full. Like that looks pretty good. It feels very nice and full of things. So now I'm gonna work on this edge. And so for this edge, we can start, you don't have to start in the middle. You can start on the side if you want. So maybe I'm gonna do like my classic, little 5-pointed flower there with a circle in the middle. And again, you can see that it's reflected. We could do a stem actually attached to that, like that, with some leaves kind of coming off of it. We could add some dots up there. And then we can maybe go to the middle. Like sometimes I like to turn the canvas this way so you can really see how it's looking. Maybe we'll do a smaller tulip shape there. Gonna use that symmetry to make that easy. And this one maybe can have a stem. This one didn't have like a little stem, but this one could have a stem with, leaves coming out there. We could do another leaf like that. Like I said, like let whatever idea pops into your head about how to fill the space, like go with it and try it out. You can always undo it and try again if you don't like the way that it's turning out. So let's do another tulip shape. We can do one kind of that's going sideways to sort of fill this little gap here, because I want to do one that's kind of coming out to the side. That's good. And then we can use that to sort of add a swirl right there, and then maybe some leaves coming off of the swirl. And then what about right here? I don't know, we could add another leaf shape. We could add some dots like that. Whatever you think looks good to you to kind of fill that. Over here feels a little bit empty. I could add another leaf right there and maybe just like add a couple more dots or something. That looks good. So again, I'm just kind of like trying to fill the space so it feels really full. And that looks good. You could do, instead of dots, you could do like small flowers or something like that, but I'm just gonna kind of keep it simple. And when you zoom out, I think it looks really, really nice. It feels very full, so that's good. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's add another element. We're gonna do a frame within a frame, and we're gonna do sort of like a little scallop border around the edge, because you could leave your frame like this, but I wanna keep going. So for the scallop, we're just gonna start on one corner and draw as uniformly as you can, little kind of half circle shapes all the way. Here in the middle, it kind of gets a little tricky where either you can try and squeeze two in there that kind of meet up right there, or sometimes, well, this one doesn't quite work. Sometimes you get to the middle and it's like you're trying to join one and trying to make the little bump right there. So however it kind of fits the space better, I think I can maybe, and I'll squeeze two in there, that's fine. I can always like refine it a little bit when I get to the final art. And then we're gonna do the same thing here. And see here, it probably works better to just kind of create one bump right there along the symmetry line. Okay, so now we have sort of a little inner frame within our frame that has a nice, a different kind of edge texture. Like whenever I do a frame within a frame, I kind of try to do a different sort of edge of the frame. And then we can go ahead and just add one more frame to this sketch, and I can use the quick shape. I'm gonna do like another rectangle in here. So if I were to just kind of draw a line and hold down my pencil and just to make it straight, I can do that, and then I can do the same thing here. Just hold down my pencil to kind of make it straight. And the other thing is, like, if maybe I need this line to move over a little bit, I can let go and then press line up here and kind of move it. So if you need to adjust how thick your border is, that's another way that you can do it. So I'll do that. And then I'll kind of just sketch those in. And then this one, I'm gonna do just some stripes. So I'm just gonna sketch those in. That's probably not even how wide the lines are gonna be in the end, but I just wanna know that's what I'm gonna end up doing. One thing I totally forgot to mention, it is on the event page, but I made you guys a Pinterest board of inspiration. So if you're never like, oh, I need an idea of what shape to do or what edge to do or how to fill this frame. I've been actually using this Pinterest board a lot. So it's on the event page. It's my Fanciful Frames inspiration, and there's so many good ideas here. I had a lot of fun researching this and getting ideas for like cool frames to do, but there's lots and lots of different approaches. Like here's one that's kind of an oval shape opening with lots of little swirly leaf patterns inside of it. Like this is really fun. It's got a lot of illustrated elements within the frame. This one's like got a cute little floral thing going on. This is kind of that sort of patchwork that I was talking about, where there's like little illustrations within kind of sectioned off pieces. Yeah, a lot of really fun ideas here. This is just a bunch of scallops and fun colors and squiggles. This is cool with like little eye and kind of scallops around it. And the cool thing about that snake one is like, whoops, the snake is sorry, I'm trying to get it open. The snake is pretty simple. Like the frame really is the art in this case. Like we have our like focal point, and then we have like this huge frame element around it, and then a smaller frame kind of opening there. I don't know why it keeps going all the way to the top. So lots of good ideas. If you are kind of stuck about what to do, definitely take a peek at this. Also know that you can, like, what I love about Pinterest is anytime you open up you know, a pin, you can scroll down and there's like always some related ideas. So if you want even more ideas, just like open one up that appeals to you and kind of scroll down, and then there's like lots more kind of related ideas. Like this one's really pretty. So.
Now, a great question. We had just kind of talking about like, you know, finishing the centers, finishing those focal points. Having the grid turned on, does that help at all with the spacing?
So the only thing with the grid is, I think what you're saying is if you go under Edit Drawing Guide, you can do the 2D grid, and that has the grid on there. However, then you won't have the symmetry mode. So you have to be in the symmetry mode in order to be able to do this kind of like reflecting symmetry thing.
And then what about starting in the middle versus, you know, is that...
Like here? I'm not
working
sure.
our way out, versus working the opposite.
Oh, like starting with the inner frame and then kind of going outward.
Yeah, like starting instead of ending in the middle, starting in the middle.
You mean here, like here? Do you think?
Yes.
Yeah. Either way, like here we started with this tulip and kind of worked or kind of bounced around actually, and then this one I started with this flower and kind of went here and then kind of filled the middle. I think like the key to a frame is, especially when you have a more detailed version like that, is like figure out what you want on the edges and the middle and then kind of like fill in the rest. So like that's what I did. I did the middle, or I did the edge, you know, close to the corner, the middle, and then kind of filled in the rest. For me, that's what works well.
And especially for the scallops, is it easier to start in the middle?
Oh, for the scallops. Good question. It can be. Yeah, that can definitely be a way to do it. So like you can decide I'm going to start here, and then you don't have to worry except for when you get to the corner. And here you could add just like a round shape there and then keep going. And then kind of like that. That's another way that you could do it, and that works too. So that's a good question. Thank you for clarifying. Okay. So this is kind of like when I was working on this tutorial, this is where I got my sketch to. There is one more frame element inside, but I kind of added that at the last minute, and I think that's how we're going to do this time. So you can see like you can get to where you think it's done and then maybe just add one more thing. So let's go ahead and get to the color part, because that's the fun part. So we're going to reduce the opacity of our sketch. You go up to your layers. Let me delete that layer. And tap the little N. Actually, no, that's not what I'm trying to do. I want to show you a little shortcut for opacity. Instead of tapping this little N and doing the slider to do your opacity, there's another way that you can do it. If you take 2 fingers and tap on the layer, you'll see it says opacity up here, and you can adjust it just by sliding back and forth. So either way works. You can tap the little N and then move the slider down, or you can take 2 fingers, tap, and then get it down to like, I think like usually between 10 and 15% is good for me. So that's a fun little tip. Okay, and let's create a new layer. So tap the plus sign. And we're gonna move our sketch layer to the top because we wanna be able to see it as we start drawing things. So tap, hold, and drag your sketch layer up. And then the other important thing to do, important thing to note is that, do you see here our layer? This one says assisted, and this one does not. So once you turn on this, it's called drawing assist, is the symmetry mode, like that's the official name for it. Once you turn it on, anytime you create a new layer, it's not automatically turned on for those layers. You have to turn it on per layer. And to turn it on, you would tap this layer and then choose drawing assist. And you'll see that it says assisted right there. And that's how you know that layer has symmetry turned on versus not, because I just undid it and you can see that it doesn't have assist. So, okay, so let's turn it on. And then let's choose a different brush. So again, we're gonna be using bonus brushes 3. And for this, let's see, it's escaping me. Oh yeah, Sahara wash. We're gonna find, where is it? Sahara wash. So bonus brush is 3, and we're gonna choose Sahara wash. So go ahead and choose that brush. Oh, Aaron, I'm glad you like that tip about the symmetry mode. I have such muscle memory for like doing things that I often forget some of the little shortcuts and I forget to do them. So that is a fun tip. Okay, so colors. We're going to do this dark green. So go ahead and choose dark green from your palette, the darkest one. And again, it was Sahara Wash from Bonus Brushes 3. Brush size, I'm going to go up. Let's go up all the way, 100%. And now we can start coloring in the outer frame. And I don't like to use quick shape for this part of it. I want everything to feel very hand-drawn and I want there to be imperfection. So I'm not gonna use quick shape to get a perfect edge on this frame. And what I'm doing with this brush is I am like picking up multiple times to kind of get some variation. Like with this brush, you could draw one continuous stroke and get a pretty even kind of texture and like opacity color. And then if you go over it again, it gets a little bit darker. So I like to kind of add lots of strokes so that I can get almost this like colored in marker sort of feel for it. So that's why I pick up the pencil multiple times. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. Another thing about this brush is one of the edges is a little hard edged and one edge is soft. So you can kind of see that there. So I like to use the hard edge on the edge of the frame. So I get that nice hard edge. So for example, if I was up here doing it this way, I would get the soft edge and I don't really want that. I want the hard edge. And it has to do with like the angle of your actual pencil. This is not a barrel roll or Apple Pencil Pro feature, but like if you were to tilt your actual pencil and change the angle of it, you can change the angle of that. So just something to keep in mind. Hopefully that's not too confusing. Okay, so again, I'm just gonna color that in. And for this step, when you're kind of coloring in the frame, you don't have to use the drawing assist. In our example, in the first one that I did, I actually did it all freehand and I didn't use drawing assist so that I could get a more like, you know, sometimes those symmetrical repeats in your coloring look kind of funky. So you could always just, like this is what I'm saying, just kind of color in the whole thing freehand and you won't have any of those weird kind of like symmetrical things happening in your coloring texture, if that makes sense. So that's up to you, whether if you don't like the way it's looking with symmetry on, just do it without symmetry. But the rest of it we do use symmetry for, so I'll delete that. Okay, alrighty, let's keep going. So the next thing that I always do is the little corner elements. And I always like to put everything on separate layers. Anytime there's colors or shapes touching each other, I always put it on separate layers because then I can go back and adjust things if I need to. So let's go to our layers and tap the plus sign to create a new layer. And then we are gonna tap this new layer and turn on Drawing Assist. So we're pretty much gonna be using it on every single layer. So go ahead and turn on Drawing Assist.
Sherry said she didn't have that brush in volume 3, by the way.
It should be there. I don't
Can
know.
always re-download.
Yeah, maybe re-download it. Let me know if anybody else doesn't see that brush, but that's the set it should be in. Yeah, try re-downloading it. Maybe it accidentally got deleted or moved or something like that. Okay, so we're gonna stick with Sahara Wash, but we are gonna change colors now. So we're gonna go to this light pink color and we're gonna do our little squares. Now my sketch, because of the color of the brush, it's a little hard to see. So I might, if you find it hard to see your sketch, you can either, turn the opacity up, or you can, if you tap that little N, you'll have this list of blend modes. And if you go to like multiply is a blend mode that has a darkening effect, so it could make it easier for you to see your sketch. I find that, I couldn't see it. So if you're in that same boat, go ahead and change it to multiply and then you should be okay. Because we do want to be able to see our sketch. Okay, so let's do the corner element. I'm gonna go a little bit down with my brush size. I'm at, look, 55%. And I'm just gonna color this in according to my sketch. And this brush is a little transparent in spots, so for this corner element, I'm gonna go over it a couple times so that it's like a little bit more opaque, like that. And there we go, we got our little corner elements. And now we can start adding some of the floral details. So I'm gonna put those on their own layer. So let's go to our layers and tap the plus sign to create a new layer. And then we can tap the plus sign to turn on Drawing Assist. And now we are going to, let's stick with this pink color, and we're gonna switch up our brushes. So the next brush that we're gonna do is also from bonus brushes 3, and it's called Chalk Line. So go ahead and choose Chalk Line. Bonus brushes 3, Chalk Line, and let's start with this little flower here. Right now my size is 23%, and I think that's a pretty good size. So now it's just a matter of kind of tracing over our sketch. Again, using that symmetry mode to kind of cut the work in quarters. So there's my first little flower, just kind of, again, tracing over the edges of that. And as far as like a workflow kind of thing, I like to kind of use whatever color I'm using over whatever I'm going to use. Wherever there's going to be pink, I'm going to do all my pink. So let's do this little tulip here that's kind of angled. I'll do that in this pink color. And so for a tulip, I'm just, again, drawing kind of an art shape and then kind of a zigzag line inside of that. Color that in. So that's gonna be pink. Let me see. I think that's all the flowers I was gonna do pink. So I'm gonna switch to a different color now. I'm gonna do, let's do the yellow color. So go ahead and choose yellow from your palette. And then I'm gonna do this tulip in yellow, the one that's kind of in the corner. When I'm picking colors, like if there's like different colors within the frame, I'm mostly thinking about how I can evenly distribute the colors so there's not like a whole bunch of pink off to one corner and then like a whole bunch of yellow off to one side. So I've got pink, yellow, and then pink for this shape, and so I'm gonna do this flower in yellow, so I kind of have almost the colors alternating a little bit. So color in that. And then I'm gonna do this one in yellow because I'm doing sort of a pattern. Pink, yellow, pink, yellow. There you go. Little tulip. Okay. So the last flower element to do is going to be this one in the corner, and for that I'm doing this kind of darker pink color. So go ahead and choose that darker pink color, and then I'm going to do that shape. So again, it's kind of like a bell curve almost, and then sort of a curvy zigzag, if you will, and then color that in. And while we're in this little corner, we'll go ahead and do all the rest of the different corner elements. So we have this little frame and the stamen. So for the stamen, I'm going to use my cream color. So go ahead and choose the cream from the palette. And then I'll just kind of draw those in. Make that one a little shorter. There we go. And then this outer frame, let's do the dark teal color. So go ahead and choose that dark teal, and then I'm just going to kind of trace around the edge here, so kind of making a square within this square. And then I added these little corner shapes, kind of quarter circles. And then the other thing that I did was color in the corners. And like as I was working on this piece the first time, again, it was just very like, what if I added a square inside this square? What if I did something in the corners? What if I colored in these corners? And it's a very like, what if, and just going for it. And again, you can always like undo if you don't like the way something is turning out, but I think it looks pretty cute. You know, the more details, the better for this style, honestly. Okay, so then we got our corners done. Let's go ahead and do our leaves. For the leaves, we're gonna be doing the lighter green. So go ahead and choose the lighter green. Again, we're still using chalk line from Bonus Brushes 3. And we can start doing our little leaves. So I'll start here and just color in that leaf shape like that. I'll do this one as well. And then again on the other side. And I'm not using super heavy pressure with my brush. If you did really heavy pressure, it would look pretty solid, but if you do lighter pressure, you get more texture, and I think that looks really nice with the vibe of this piece. So you can not go too heavy on your pressure. I'll do this little leaf here, or this swirl. And these swirls can take a little bit of practice. If you don't get it, you know, smooth the first time, you can try it a couple times. It's up to you. There we go. And then we'll add our little leaves. Did I mention the size? I'm at 23% with my brush size. For these leaves, you don't have to color them all in. These ones I left kind of as outlines, so they're open in the middle. Just to kind of, if you want, you know, a design element to feel less heavy, you don't have to color in all the leaves because it's got a lot of like big leaf colored in shape. So, you know, just to add variety, you don't have to color them in. Okay, I think that's all the leaves on that side. So let's go to this side. I'm gonna add a stem right here on the middle, and then kind of some leaf shapes there. And then I think I even did another leaf shape right there. That's cool. There's a leaf or like a swirl coming out from this one. There we go. And then we can do some leaves that are not colored in here to kind of, you know, go with the ones that are not colored in over there. I do try to repeat things, you know, so, you know, you can add lots and lots of different details, but it's nice to repeat, you know, some things so that the, you know, things feel unified, even if there's a lot going on. Okay, let's do this one. And I'll color these in. So we have some colored in and some not colored in. Okay, I think that's all of our leaves. Next, we're just gonna do our little circle elements. So for that, I mean, you could do any color. You could do like this light blue. I'm gonna do the cream color. So go ahead and choose that cream color, and we're still using we're still using chalk line, and we're gonna do these little circles. So again, I'm doing light pressure, and I get like a nice textured kind of line versus heavy pressure would be really thick. So I'm doing pretty light pressure. And I like to zoom out here to make sure that I like the way that's looking. Like when I zoom out, I feel like those are really big. So I'm gonna actually make them a little more dainty and small so they're not overwhelming the other elements of the design. They're like accents. They're not the star of the show. They're just filler. Maybe that one can go there. I think that's good. You could also do filled in circles if you want to, but I'm trying to keep them like light looking. So I'm gonna leave them as these like open circles. And then I don't want to do this. Maybe there. I don't know. I'm kind of going a little different than my sketch. And then I'm gonna grab a blue. I'm gonna grab this lighter blue. from the color palette. And just see if there's anywhere else that I might need a little bit of filler. Like I think I have this circle here, under there. If there were other little like swirly things you wanted to add in, you could do that. Like I could add a little swirly there, or I could add a little curly there. It's kind of up to you if you wanted to add more elements. Like maybe instead of this circle, I can add a swirl shape or something like that. Maybe I'm just kind of going off the cuff. I'm like, well, maybe I want some more swirls here. So, you know, it's up to you what you want to do. That's pretty good. You know, one thing that I am going to do now that I'm looking at this is maybe just go over this layer one more time because it feels a little, I want it to be a little bit darker. So I'm going to go to the layer with a green, you know, base frame and go back to that Sahara wash. I saw somebody in the comments said it. You thought it said hair wash. I was like, it's like a wash brush, but it's dry. So I named it Sahara wash. That's where the name came from, my friends. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of go over these areas where the white is kind of peeking through a little bit too much because I want the colors to pop out. And again, I'm picking up my brush a lot. That also deposits a bunch of texture when I do that. So that looks a little bit better to me. So, all right, so that's looking really pretty. Now we're gonna keep going and adding our frames within frames. So once you finish kind of your main frame, you can decide, maybe I want a little element kind of going around the edge or maybe another frame. So you can add another layer and drag this underneath all the other layers. We're gonna make sure we turn on Drawing Assist. So tap this layer and choose Drawing Assist. And then we're gonna go with the lighter blue this time. And, oh no, I'm sorry, we're gonna do this little scallop first. So we're gonna actually choose this red color. So go ahead and choose the red color, reddish color, pink. And then we're gonna do a different brush this time. We're gonna choose the Ashen Liner. And this one is a mono width brush. It's always the same width, so it kind of makes it easy to do these circle shapes. Plus it has this really nice texture to it. So go ahead and choose Ashen Liner, and then we'll start here. So you can kind of just draw like a little circle shape. You can even do, let's see, my brush size, by the way, is 65%. You can even just draw little circles. I'm just kind of like drawing, like wiggling the brush a little bit to kind of fill it in and just keep going down the line like that. Scallops are essentially just like half circles, you know, lined up next to each other. So that's another way that you could do that. So I'm not like super sticking to my sketch. And some of these feel a little too light, like too much texture, so I'm just going over them a second time. So that looks good there. So now I'm gonna go the other way. We'll do, actually I'll start with the middle one. So I'm just drawing like little circles. I'm gonna do it again, a little bit lower. There we go. Of course, you could always draw a shape like that instead of like doing a little circle. This is what I'm doing, just little circles lined up really close to each other, but you could draw them this way if you want, whatever way works for you. All right, so there's our little scallop border, is really cute. And you could stop there if you want, but we're gonna keep going. We're gonna add another frame. So let's go up to our layers and tap the plus sign to create a new frame. And we're gonna put this underneath our frame with this red scallop border frame. And of course, we're gonna turn on Drawing Assist. So we're gonna tap it, tap the layer and choose Drawing Assist. And now we're gonna go to our palette and choose the blue color. So the light blue, kind of bluish greenish color. So choose that light bluish green, and let's choose the Sahara wash again. That one's really good for doing like big solid fill-ins, like in a border. And my brush size is all the way up, so I'm just gonna color in this next layer of my frame. And again, I'm picking my pencil up lots of times, and that makes a little bit of texture. Like, it's really subtle, but it makes it a little less like computer flat because of the settings of the brush. And then I'm gonna do this one. There we go. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and do that inner frame. And then we're gonna do a little stripe pattern over this. And to do the stripe pattern, we're gonna use a clipping mask. It's gonna make it a little bit easier so we can have the stripe within the shape of the frame. So make sure you have this blue frame layer selected, and then just tap the plus sign, and it'll create a layer right above the layer you were just on. And we're gonna turn on symmetry mode, so tap it and choose drawing assist. And we're also gonna make it a clipping mask. So tap it one more time and choose clipping mask. And that's gonna make it so whatever we draw on this layer will be within the shape of this frame that we drew on the layer below it. So again, we turned on drawing assist and we turned on clipping mask. And you'll know it's a clipping mask because there's a little arrow pointing down. Colors, let's choose our darker teal for a little tone on tone kind of action there. So go ahead and choose a darker teal. And then I'm gonna do the ashen liner for this part. And I'm gonna start in the corner. I'm gonna go a little bit smaller with my brush size actually, 40%. And just kind of paint in the corner of this. And then, because again, this is like a mono width brush, it'll be the same width no matter what. It's really easy to do stripes. You just draw a line like that. And you can make your stripes thicker or thinner depending on how big you have the brush. So if you had a really big brush size, you could do some really thick stripes like that. Or if you do really small brush size, oops, I'll go smaller. You could do little tiny stripes like that. And they'll always be the same width because it's not pressure sensitive. So I'm gonna go somewhere in between those two, I think. A little bigger than that. And I'm just trying to kind of draw these lines that are about the same, like the space between is about the width of the actual brush stroke, so they look kind of like, you know, the same. Here where you get to the corner, you have that where you might end up in the middle and have spaces that are equal on the other sides, but here, I'm kind of just spacing it out so this gap looks like the gap between all the other stripes, if that makes sense. And again, you could start from the middle and work your way out. Maybe I'll do that here and see how it goes. Okay, so I'm gonna leave a gap that's about the same width as all the other gaps, and then go this way. And hopefully that works out. It's not perfect. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, that works. Sometimes if you're like, oh no, there's like a tiny gap, you could start over and go the other way and see if it works better. But there's how to do a quick little stripe. And this, when I got to this point, and actually we can turn off our sketch now. Let's go to our layers and just uncheck the checkbox for our sketch and take a look at how beautiful it is. And this is the point where I got it, where I'm like, cool, ready to commit to this for the tutorial and get everything ready. But then I was like, I'm gonna add one more frame. So let's go ahead and do that. Tap the plus sign to create a new layer, and then we're gonna move this layer underneath all the other layers.
This is Lisa in a nutshell. Just one more, guys. Just one more.
What if I just did this? I know, I tend to go overboard. But in whimsy, there is no overboard. So let's choose yellow. We've done only a little bit of yellow in this piece. So go ahead and choose yellow, and we'll go back to our Sahara wash brush. And now for this frame, we're just gonna do kind of a wave. And I'm gonna start the wave in the middle. And I'm gonna make sure. So waves can be a little tricky, but they can also be a little wonky and be totally fine too. Let me do it again. That works. So just kind of draw a little, oh, look at you guys. I can tell instantly that I forgot something. I don't have symmetry mode on because I'm like, that's not right. Tap on the layer and choose drawing assist, and let's try that again. Okay, so I'm gonna start here. This part's a little tricky. Maybe I'll start here and see how it goes when I get to the middle versus, well, that's not too bad. Sometimes it takes a couple tries, and then you want to kind of just like go over that with a few brush strokes to kind of color it in a little more opaque. And like I said, you can use liquify if you're like, I don't like how that's looking. You could go up to the adjustments menu and you could choose liquify. Maybe make the brush size a little smaller, and let's make this little part of the wave a little bit bigger and scooch it over a little bit. Make it, you can adjust things with liquify and it obeys the symmetry, which is really cool. Okay, let's go this way. And let's see how I want to do it. And do it a little smaller. Well, that works. And then color that in. So this one I had the down part of the wave kind of in the middle like that, and maybe I'll grab my liquify and adjust it just a little bit. I love liquify. It's one of my favorite Procreate features. I'm gonna bring some of these, what I was just doing was bringing some of these waves a little up higher so it's a little more dramatic of a wave shape, but that looks pretty good. I think that's good. And then if you wanted to add one last little element, so it's not just like a plain wavy frame, this was like the last little detail that I added. The chalk line brush, so get the chalk line brush and this creamy color from the palette. And then we can add just a little small element. So I'm gonna do a dot on the corners and the centers of this frame, like that. So we have the center and the corner. And then just add a little line kind of in between. Doesn't fully connect to the dot, it's just kind of in between the dot. And that makes a nice little visual element that you can add to. That's so cute. Oh, I forgot one little detail here on this flower. Optional, but I'm gonna go back to layer with the flowers, and it's this red color. Just add a little fill in right there, and that, I think that was the only thing that I did have one more detail. On this tulip, I kind of did just a little definition of the petals. So if you wanted to do that, I just added a little circle there, and then I added a little line there to kind of define the petals. And again, that was on the same layer as all the flowers. I did that. It's looking pretty good. And then the last thing, no more frame stuff, but the background. Of course, I recommend you drawing something fun to put into this frame, but I'm gonna just set the background color. If you go to your layers, tap background color, and just set it to that creamy color. Just because that white with all these colors looks so stark. So even though I don't have anything in the middle yet, it kind of feels like it goes. So. And there's our finished frame. You can, of course, turn off the drawing guide, which see these lines going down the middle. If you know you're done with that, you can go up to the actions menu, go to edit drawing guide, and then just, I'm sorry, you don't even have to go to edit drawing guide. You go to actions menu and you just toggle off drawing guide, and then those lines will go away. It is good to note that even though the lines aren't there, drawing assist will still work, because all these layers have assisted turned on. So that just kind of takes those lines away. But yeah, we're all done. I'm so excited to see everybody's frames. Like I said, there's just so much that you could do with this. I really encourage you to, once you finish one of your pieces this month, like go that extra step and add a frame to it and just kind of like see where things go and get really playful with it. And they don't have to be as complicated as this one. This one kind of like, we went hard, we went deep. It's a lot of stuff. They don't all have to be that complicated. Like I showed you in some of my floral fauna pieces. you know, I just added like an outer border and a little inner kind of different colored edge to it. So
But we have a lot of tools now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what we
Yeah,
just
like,
learned was
that's
so many tools.
that's what I wanted you to take away here. Switch me back down here one more time, Jeff. That's what I wanted you to take away from this is this process of deciding what shape you want your frame to be, how thick you want it to be, what kind of frame edges you want it to have, what kind of corner elements you could do, and then what you want to fill the frame with, and then whether you want to like do that all again inside that frame. That's what I love to teach in general is like, what is the process of creating this thing? So it doesn't feel, I think it helps demystify it. When you see these beautiful frames, you're like, whoa, there's a lot going on. But when you break it down to these steps, it feels a lot more achievable. And that's what I hope to accomplish with this tutorial and anything that I teach really. And one little thing I just wanted to show you really quick is how you can expand your canvas if you don't have enough room for a frame. So this is a piece that I drew to take up the whole canvas. That's how I started it. And then I wanted to add a frame afterwards, but there's not really a lot of space. So if you want to do that, you go up to your actions menu, canvas, crop and resize, and then you're going to go to settings. And so you're going to increase this by the same amount on both sides if it's a square. What I would do is you would tap into here, and so right now it's 3,000 pixels. I'm going to set both sides to 3,500 pixels. So now I have some extra space, but I want the artwork to be in the middle. So I'm going to go down to the settings again and turn on snapping. And then I can move this until these yellow lines appear. And now I have even amount of extra space around the whole outside. And I have enough room to like start working on my frame. I would go up to my layers and just, you know, create a new layer, go to the drawing guide and create the, you know, just go through all the steps that we did, and then you can start working on the frame. And yeah, I didn't do a sketch for any of these frames. I just kind of, I'm gonna go to my time-lapse replay. You kind of see that. I also shared this in my latest from Lisa post, I believe, if you want to see the whole time lapse. But yeah, I just started drawing a border and I ended up changing the color, and then I added a little corner element. See, no sketch or anything. And then I was like, I'll do a stripe. And then I changed my mind and did a different kind of stripe. Then I added some scallops and some little corner elements, and I added like a background texture to my art using imperfect patterns. So it can be a really quick process to add something that will make your piece just like that extra special finishing touch.
Got a couple of really good questions.
Yeah.
First one being just, why are you putting the elements with different colors on the same layer? You wouldn't be able to easily change colors.
The only place I did that was in the floral elements, and there's only a couple places where they like here the different colors touch. And like if I wanted to change that, it was really easy for me to maybe just redraw it or color over it or something. So there are times where I will do that. Like if I didn't like the way that this, you know, this element here, this orange is on the yellow, they're touching, but I could very easily grab my yellow and just like get rid of that and then draw something else. Like if I wanted to try this pink or something. Like if it's easy enough for me to change it, then I'm not going to worry about putting them on a separate layer. So that's kind of why I did it that way. Did we have any other questions?
Yeah, we had a couple other good ones. Are the frame formula slides available for us to look at later?
Yeah, why don't I put those on the event page so that you guys can look at them. I might put them as images, or I might put the PDF in there. I'll see what makes more sense for that. But yeah, I can do that, and then also kind of give you guys some examples of ideas, you know, like different frame shapes and different frame edges, and I can like kind of write those out for you.
And one other last great question. My snapping always goes wonky, not clean yellow lines like yours, even with the magnetics off. Any quick thoughts?
Yeah, snapping can be a little finicky. Like if I were to draw a thing and turn on snapping here, it wants to align itself to like the edges of the canvas, but also to other elements within. like, you know, it's like trying to line to these flowers or the edges of this border, and it wants to align itself with different objects on the canvas. So if there are other things on your canvas, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. Here, where there's nothing near it, like it's not a problem, it's snapping very cleanly. But over here, if I wanted to snap to the very edge, like this, I can't, it's hard. It wants to snap to the flowers or, you know, other things. So it can be a little bit finicky. Sometimes turning off other layers can help with that. So let me try it. See, now it's snapping very cleanly. So if you turn off other layers, it will snap better. You know, there's nothing for it to want to align itself to. So hopefully that helps. Any other questions?
Oh, that was great. Thank you so much, Lisa.
You are welcome. This was so fun. I just want to let you guys know about what's coming up next. So like I said early at the beginning, our next live event's on March 18th at 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And we're doing a Draw Together hangout. And I hope you come to these. It's a really fun way to kind of, you know, build community, get to know your fellow art makers a little bit, and just do something relaxed. It's not like a planned lesson or anything like that. Bring whatever it is you're working on. We'll play some fun drawing games. We'll do some breakout rooms, which are totally optional. You don't have to participate in those. Camera on is optional, but it's always fun to get to see your faces. So hopefully you can make it to that. And then our next live tutorial is going to be in April, and it's going to be on April 8th. So I will be sharing details about that in due time. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please share your frames that you create, even if they don't have anything in the middle. Like, I want to see your frames. Share them in the comment section of the event page. Of course, you can also share your artwork in the clubhouse, but I can't wait to see it and what fanciful frames you create. All right, have a great rest of your day. Happy